Hi group, we're getting great at comparing fractions. So what if there's two that we're going to compare? What if we're comparing 1/2 and 5/10? So we can draw the chocolate bars to compare them. Of course, making sure our chocolate bars are the same size. All right, the first one we're going to cut into 2 pieces. The second one, we have to cut it into 10 pieces. All right, and then the first one we're going to shade in 1 of those 2 pieces. The second one we're going to shade in 5 of those 2 pieces. Okay, now we need to compare these chocolate bars. You're going to tell the person sitting next to you how they compare. So please pause the video now for them to do so. All right, hopefully you notice that these 2 chocolate bars are the same amount. And the sign we use to compare fractions that they're same is, of course, the equal sign. So we could say that these 2 fractions are equal. To make it sound even fancier, we can use the word equivalent. Do you notice how it starts the same as the word equal? That's because it means the same thing. So equivalent means the same or equal to. Oh my goodness, a math definition. This looks like something that you should write in the glossary in the back of your math notebooks. So please pause the video so that students can write that word and the definition in the glossary now, please. Okay, now we have shown that 1/2 is equivalent to 5/10. And I'm wondering, are there any other fractions that are equivalent to 1/2? What if we thought about quarters? How many quarters would you need to make it equivalent to 1/2? Let's think about pizzas this time. There's our 1/2. Now if we cut it into quarters, oh, there's going to be 2 quarters. What about if we were thinking in terms of sixths? So now we need our pizza to be cut into 6 pieces. We need to color in half of it. Oh, now there's going to be 3/6. Okay, now your mission is to figure out how many 8ths would there be? What about 10ths or 12ths? Is there a pattern you're starting to see that would help you figure out what that would be? I bet you figured it out. If not, you can, in just a moment, stop and work it through together as a class and see if you can fill in the 3 numerators that are missing. Once you've done that and you think you know the pattern, you can also solve what of 100th would be equivalent to 1/2. So pause the video now to fill in those 4 numerators. Okay, so we can use patterns to figure out if a fraction is equivalent, but we can also use our fraction chart. So this, of course, would be in our binders. So you can find the first fraction, so we've got 1/2, and you can take your ruler and line it up with the edge of that piece. Now you can look down and you can compare to see what other ones, fractions are cut in the same place. So here we can see 2/4 matches up. We can see that 3/6 matches up. 4/8. Ooh, did you figure that one out? Of course, we've got our 5/10 and our 6/12. Okay, so we can use that to figure out an equal or equivalent fraction. So for today's math, we've got 2 worksheets. For the first one, we're going with the chocolate bar method. So your mission is going to be to shade in the next chocolate bar and then to fill in the 2 fractions. So the line they've given you is meant to be the line in between the numerator and the denominator. So you're going to fill in the two fractions that are equivalent or equal. And yes, there are two sides to this one. Once you've completed that worksheet and had it checked, the next one we're going to do is the equivalent fractions chart. So it asks you to label and color the fraction bars. I'm only going to ask you to label them. So you can see where I've started to do this now. So the first one's all 1, so it's 1 out of 1. The second one, we've got 1 out of 2, or 1/2, and 2 out of 2, or 2/2. 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so you would keep going to figure out, of course, count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This one would be 8ths, and so on. Okay. Once you've labeled it, down at the bottom, it has 3 fractions, and your job is to list as many possible other fractions that are equivalent or the same amount of chocolate bar as the one they've given you, right? So for 1/2, again, you can get your ruler out, line it up, and then you can figure out who else is the same amount of chocolate bar as 1/2, and write it in here, just like we did on the whiteboard with the equal signs in between. Okay? Then we're going to do the same thing for 1/3. Line up the ruler, find all of the options that are the same there, and again for 1/4. All right, good luck and happy mathing.